Still watching Breakfast Extra right here on News Central, and yes, it's time for us to, of course, to have conversations about the latest election that was just concluded in Anambra State. In case you don't know, the Governor Charles Soludo, has been re-elected. So right now, we're just going to have conversations as regards, the events that or things that happened around this particular election. And joining us to have a conversation right now is Anambra State Solution Marshal Titus Akpudo and Jake Epelle. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Jake Epelle is one of the directors at TAF Africa. You were, let me start with you, sir. You were there at some polling units across the state and to observe the elections, but most importantly, to make sure that inclusion happens at some polling units regarding persons with disabilities. I have to ask you, now that the elections have closed, collation have ended, and the results have been announced, and Governor Soludo has been returned, what are your notes for Joash Amupitan, the INEC chairman? Have INEC done excellently well?
Well, the two high points of this election, and I can also talk about the low point. The two high points was logistical management, the deployment of electoral resources, which pretty much across board, I will give it about 60%, was great. The second and the most important is the peaceful atmosphere, the security situation in the state that I would adjudge one of the best in off-cycle election. And I think yesterday I was on one of another channel with the commissioner for commissioner of police in the state, and I congratulated him. I congratulated the entire security architecture. However, I pointed to him that, listen, I think I give it to Anambra people. They are peaceful people. They are people who really don't get themselves too much involved in volatility. And that's what had brought us to where we are. I think INEC have done way above average. They made up their mind that they were going to deliver on this election, and I think they did. There is no doubt that some of the low points were, one, voter turnout. However, let me emphasize as an independent observer and a political analyst that there was an increase in voter turnout compared to 2017, 2021. There's relatively about 20% this time compared to 10% that we had previously. So generally, I think those who won can celebrate with, they should celebrate, giving those who did not win the opportunity to also celebrate with them. I think the two frontrunners, and which, of course, the sitting governor eventually won, they should learn to work together. They are both Anambra people. I know there's always some iota of bitterness and all that, but they should learn to work together. And it's also very important, my advice would be, let us forget trying to use the court to upturn the will of the people. And I think the judiciary should be very, very careful. I'm not saying that anybody cannot go to court to plead his or her case. But however, let's, for the interest of Anambra people, I think they should all come together, work together. And I think Soludo should be open enough to embrace everyone. if I'm in his shoes, I will make effort to bring everybody together and let them know that, listen, we haven't lost. It's a win-win situation. But the greatest winner is the greater winner is Anambra people. The greatest winner is democracy. So I think we should leave it at that. It wasn't a bad election at all. However, inclusion still remains a mere dream. We haven't been able to truly factor all shades of inclusion, despite the incredible effort that our organization made. We had some challenges with accessibility. We had some challenges with provision of the material. And I think we're going to really work with this INEC to see what the issues are and how we can find a lasting solution. There was something that gladdened me, the introduction of the sign language interpreters, specific sign language interpreters assigned to specific polling unit. Now, a lot of people have said, well, we didn't see the sign language interpreters. That's not correct. We deployed just about 25. You can imagine 25 trying to serve well over 5,000 polling units. It will be like not even a drop of water in a bucket, but 25 is just minimal. And what we did was to identify where there are persons with deaf community or deaf persons, where they will go and vote. We imagine, and we were right, that some of them may not have aids because many of them will not be able to afford paying a sign language interpreter. So we deployed these sign language interpreters specific to specific polling units, and they did serve. The report we got, in terms of deployment, INEC did well over 74%, which is a high mark. The problem here is administration of these resources.
All right. Let me come to you, Mr. Titus. Do you also share the same sentiments in terms of whether or not INEC has done well? What's your own assessment of INEC as the elections have been concluded?
For having me around. Honestly, I must thank the God Almighty for making it possible for that election to go on peacefully, as we all witnessed. Coming to your question, I must give it to INEC. They did wonderfully well. They deployed their staff very early. The voting commenced as expected in most of the polling units, most of the wards. The voting commenced. And we saw people queued in and, exercise their franchise, voting their candidate without being molested or harassed by anybody. And from the result, we saw this morning what was announced by the INEC chairman. It is a clear demonstration of people's will. Anambra people are the kind of people that appreciate good work. They know what they want, and they will always go for it. All the candidates were all brothers. Let me tell you, after today, you will see each and every one of them embracing each other, planning or discussing on how to forge ahead with the development of the state. Professor Charles Soludo, the governor of Anambra State, who has just been re-elected to serve for another 4 years, is a very seasoned economist and also a very wise man. There is no way he would like to go out of his way or claim that, okay, I've won, that everybody should go to wherever. He's somebody that will always call the people together in a round table and discuss with them, all the candidates, irrespective of their political party. He's a very wise and kind-hearted man, and also know what his people, he feels the pulse of his people. I must give it to INEC as asked. Also, the security agencies, they did well. The observers too. This is the most peaceful election we've all witnessed in Anambra State. And in terms of turnout, we are progressing. It's something that will keep on. It's showing that trust is coming back. Trust is coming back. People are now believing that their votes will count. Just like my colleague said, anybody can go to court, but the most important thing is for the court to do the right thing. But in this case, you may be surprised that none of the candidates may like to go to the court. The margin is so much. And people were free voting according to their will.
Let me come to you
That is
now. Let me come to you now, Mr. Jake Epelle. There were claims of votes buying. As a matter of fact, the AAC candidate, Ms. Chioma, says she has evidence on the phone. And also even the governor, of course, Charles Soludo, also said that there are reports of votes buying. And this is something that we keep hearing every time we have elections in Nigeria. What can end this?
Well, thank you. Thank you for that question. Listen, let's dig in and look at the cause. First of all, every one of them, without exception, from the governor-elect to most of them that contested, are guilty of this. You can't exonerate anybody. You cannot tell me that there was no vote buying by the party that won. You cannot tell me there was no vote buying by APC. And across board, they either vote buying, voter inducement, vote suppression happens across board. It has become a menace that is plaguing our democracy in this country. And what is the cause? The cause, some people trace it to poverty. I think also the electorate, the people in general, have a lot to do with this, because when we have failed the moral test of being offered money and you have the audacity to say no to it, I'm not a proponent that there's some people, and even I've heard some civil society say, well, take the money and vote your conscience. That is absolute nonsense. Forgive me to use the word. You cannot, when you accept money from somebody, you cannot tell me that you have conscience, talk less of voting your conscience. So that's the problem. And secondly, both the giver and the taker are guilty. I'm glad that EFCC announced that they arrested some people. That would be the end. Let them tell me how many people that have been prosecuted, apart from poor people, the political heavyweights that carries this money. As a matter of fact, Anambra State brought a new dimension, and that dimension is POS being used. You being given ticket, stamp on your hand, go and vote, come and show us and collect your money. It's destroying the fabric of our democracy. And the antidote is get the offender, prosecute the offender, jail the offender. We need to see that. And that brings me to the point of introduction of this electoral offender offense mechanism. It could be a commission. It can be a special court. Whatever we need to do to reprimand, punish, and put in jail, name and shame, especially these political heavyweights that have decided that they will ruin our democracy in this country. So nobody can be exonerated. I can tell you that as one who was in the field, who speaks objectively, to the best of my knowledge, vote buying was across board. They both APGA, APC, every one of them cannot say that they are not involved in it. But let me also not conclude with a generalization. There may be one or two of them that did not partake in this, but it has become the norm for politicians to buy the votes of the electorate, because unfortunately it is these same politicians that impoverish the people, put them in abject poverty, pull them to this beggarly position where 2,000 matters to them, where 3,000 matters to them, 5,000. So that's the problem. Until we begin to deal with it to the root, all of us, all the discussion is like talking about the effect. We need to go to the cause. Politicians have become very desperate for power.
All right.
They have become very crooked in their desire to grab power.
As we're talking about politicians and we're looking at the polls, I would like to ask you, Mr. Titus, 422,000 plus votes have extended Mr. Charles Soludo, now giving him a second term to be governor of the state. But also the turnout as well in most polling units were extremely abysmal. Let's talk about that. Earlier yesterday in the morning when we were speaking, you were optimistic about, the residents of Anambra coming out to vote in numbers. But the exit polls tell a different story. Why are we seeing a low turnout with Anambra?
Just like I said while addressing the issue earlier asked, the process were improving, and people have started seeing that trust. Because just like I said, this issue of trust is something of democracy. Without people believing in the process, they may find it very difficult to key in. From the results so far, it's better than what we saw in the previous election. And we're progressing. Based on the PVC card collected, one or two reasons may be attributed to that. Some may register. Some polling units may be very far from where the person may vote. Some people find it very difficult to get to their villages. Those that traveled in the yesterday morning were stopped because of the restriction. And from my own point of view, I believe that Anambra people have spoken that this is their choice. The next election will be more better and will keep on improving. On the issue of vote buying, my friend just spoke on. In my own area, in Israel, we didn't experience that. If the EFCC arrested anybody, I would be expecting them to prosecute those people, because it's one of the things that kills our democracy. But in my own area, we did not experience that. Nobody was arrested. Nobody was figured out sharing money or trying to buy vote for anybody. What we did within my area is to demonstrate our choice and the people's will. So I believe that by next, by something that we will be improving from this time. Maybe by September, we'll be conducting the local government election. The turnout will improve. People have seen now that the INEC is living up to the expectation, that the police are also doing their best. Likewise, observer, every other person that contributed, the press, the media, they are all doing very well to make sure that people believe in that process and that the process now works. Not after voting, they will say that your vote did not count. Our vote counts now. Our ballot paper, the vote is now our voice. the trust is coming back. I bet you we will experience a tremendous improvement as the day goes by.
I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear from you, Mr. Epelle, as regards voter turnout. You said it that, you know, comparing to 2021, the voter turnout this time around is quite impressive. But what do you think should be done to not just the situation in Anambra, but generally in elections in Nigeria? How can people be encouraged? Because there's this feeling of the fact that their votes do not count.
I don't like the word impressive. I think I never said that, because when you have just mere 20% of entire electorate voting a candidate that or participating in the election, that's not impressive at all. We still have the issue of voter turnout. We still have the issue of voter apathy. The fact that there was a 10% increase in comparison to what happened last year is not a good development. I think we should do better. The kind of momentum that the candidate showed, as a matter of fact, all the crowd that followed the candidate that won, if all that crowd have voted, we will be talking about 30-40%, you know, but they never did. My friend kept referring that the trust that had been the trust deficit is coming back. It's in trickles. We need to do more. So let's take this and look at what is likely to happen in 2027. You know, there's going to be a huge voter apathy across board. So INEC needs to invest in rebuilding her brand. INEC needs to invest in building the capacities of her own her people, that the staff of INEC. Before this current chairman took office, I am an insider, so I provide a lot of framework for INEC. The morals of the staff has been dampened. The previous administration did not focus on giving capacity to INEC staff. That is the truth. You know, INEC itself is a big elephant that needs to be unbundled. INEC is too big for what she's doing, doesn't have all the capacity, you know. So there's a need for the new INEC administration to introspectively look at INEC and reorganize, re-strategize. It does not make sense for you to continue every year. My organization, we're trying to reorganize, we're trying to rebrand. So there's a need for a total overhaul of INEC. You know, we keep talking about reforms. These reforms, sometimes we pay lip service to it, nothing happens. So there's a need for them to focus on voter education. Voter education. There's a need for them to probably embark on a campaign that says your vote will count. People generally believe that their vote will not count. And that's what we have seen that is playing out.
But would they trust the messenger? I mean, you can go on a statewide or nationwide campaign to ask people to register and always come out to vote. But the question was, will they trust the messenger? Can they trust INEC one more time? I think that'll be our final question for this segment. With this election now closed and, you know, whatever fallout will be, is this a true test? Has Mupiton passed the test? Are we ready for Osun State come next year? Let me start with you.
This is what I say all the time, and I've said it on several shows. Let's not put the undue pressure on the new INEC chairman that just resumed office.
Seems to have lost Mr. Educator.
I think, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir. Please continue.
Well, I'm so sorry.
All right, whilst we try to fix that, let me bring in Mr. Titus. Mr. Titus, please just continue there. Is it unnecessary burden on Amupita? Should we give him more room to adjust into his new role? Or has he passed the test?
Well, from my own understanding, once you assume a duty, the job description of the world expects you to start doing everything possible to improve on that. The issue of vote apathy and all the issues surrounding it will still, not only the INEC, even the state government, the civil society is also have a role to play. We need to start sensitizing our people on time, on the need to understand that their votes counts this time. The Anambra election, they just concluded the election, the result announced. The INEC did well. It's a true test on the fact that the INEC are waking up and also are ready to improve in whatever they are doing. The new INEC chairman, who has already assumed his duty as the national chairman of INEC, need to go back to drawing board, discuss with his officials, even the federal government. There need to be funds to educate the people on the need to participate in election. Just like my friend said, people believe that their votes was not count. And there's no point going to queue to vote for a candidate at the end of the day, you know that you will not win the election. But the narrative is changing now. Anambra State, the current governor, Professor Charles Soludo, who just won the election, win in all the local government, 21 over 21. And if we sustain that without anybody going to the court to truncate the process, I bet you it will also speak volume on what the INEC will achieve in Nigeria in every other election coming up from next year till the presidential election. So my own view is that you don't need to give him room to go to his office and relax and start thinking on what to do, but you need to go to work straight, move into action, and design a kind of blueprint on the way forward on how to cure this particular issue affecting the process. Because it's when people vote, when you have a massive turnout, then it shows, it demonstrates that everybody actually participated to vote that particular person. So the INEC chairman need to do more.
All right.
He need to do more, yes.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for having this conversation with us. And we hope that moving forward, we'll see some level of improvement when it comes to voting